The MLB trade deadline is approaching fast, and we have a lot of teams at the bottom of the league. So today, I'm going to look at Bleacher Report's predictions for who the biggest names that could be traded this trade deadline could possibly be. But first, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the baseball content coming at you. I know it's been a lot of reaction stuff. That is going to change June onward. We're going back to the old GiraffeNeckMarc stuff. And big shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. All right, so shout out Kerry Miller. You can check out his article. Link is in the description if you want to read it for yourself. You should. Give him a click. He's giving me content. He is going through all the biggest names. It's really that simple. So let's take a look right now at catcher Ryan Jeffers of the Minnesota Twins. So he is a free agent this winter. Ooh, Ryan Jeffers actually could be a really fun player to be on the trade block. Again, a catcher that's free agent this winter. He looks really good at the plate this year. He has a 400 on base percentage. The power looks great. Like, I know the Twins are kind of hanging around right now, but let's be honest, we know this Minnesota Twins team is not making the playoffs. They are settlers. This is not a roster right now that is playoff caliber, in my opinion. And what's one of the hardest positions to get value out of? It's the catcher position. Thinking around the league, some guys that could use catchers. I mean, the Philadelphia Phillies are going to be right in the thick of it. They could always use an upgraded catcher. I know they just got JT Realmuto, but Ryan Jeffers is better, but again, that's probably not their first option. Maybe the Cubs, although I do think they like Carson Kelly, Miguel Amaya. Pirates could always use an upgraded catcher. The Reds could maybe, but I don't see them being super in on it. Out west, not going to be the Dodgers. Probably not the Padres, but again, they probably could upgrade. And then even in the American League, like, man, if Cal Raleigh injury is bad, maybe you consider Ryan Jeffers. Other teams in the Central definitely could. I know the White Sox will get Kyle Teal back eventually, but Ryan Jeffers could help them out. Man, there's actually not that many teams now that I'm thinking about that are actually playoff caliber teams, in my opinion, that could use Ryan Jeffers, but the bat's really good. He's good enough behind the plate. Ryan Jeffers is someone who I think the Twins definitely should be looking to shop this deadline. But first, I want to give a quick shout to today's sponsor, PrizePicks, America's #1 sports picks app. Use our code HMA to get $50 in lineups instantly as soon as you play your first $5 lineup. So click the link in the description right now, download the PrizePicks app, and use our code HMA to get in on this offer. Not to mention, PrizePicks is so easy to use. Simply select more or less on a few different players, put them into your lineup, and then see how they do. My picks today, a little bit crazy, but why not? Let's try it. I have more than half a stolen based on Corbin Carroll. I like Brandon Nimmo to hit a home run, so I picked more than half a home runs against the St. Louis Cardinals. He loves hitting against them. And then I also took Juan Soto for more than half a home run. He's going up against Emerson Hancock. He's been on fire. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. What's also great about PrizePicks is that it's available in most states, including California, Texas, Florida, and even New York. So what are you waiting for? Download the PrizePicks app right now by clicking the link in the description and using our code HMA to get $50 in lineups instantly as soon as you play your first $5 lineup. Big shout out to PrizePicks. Thank you for sponsoring today's video. Next up at first base, Christian Walker. Yeah, I think we talked about him this offseason as someone who's probably going to be traded a little bit earlier on in the season than we actually initially thought. The Astros look absolutely horrible. Christian Walker is playing better baseball. 15 homers, 40 RBIs at the time of this article being written. A 255 average, 330 on base, 519 slug. So that's a well over 800 OPS for a guy who plays good defense at first. The biggest problem with him right now is that contract is something that I don't think a lot of teams are really going to want to attach themselves to. A big reason why the Astros are trying to move Christian Walker is that contract. He's got the $20 million this year. He's got $20 million next year. It's not necessarily the best contract. It's not the friendliest by any means, but also it's not so bad that you should completely write it off. And again, who wouldn't want a power-hitting first baseman that does play good defense at the position? Like a year ago, Christian Walker was absolutely horrible. Somebody that you didn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. But right now, Christian Walker is playing good baseball. I think he is overall a good player. And if the Astros can get rid of him, and especially if you're willing to pay the money, he would be absolutely free. But I do think the Astros are super motivated to trade one of Christian Walker or Isaac Paredes, where they're going to move somebody, and I can't imagine that the price is going to be too high on Christian Walker, who's what, like 34, 35 years old. All right, next up, let's see, second base, Luis Arraez. I mean, listen, there's a real conversation about what are we going to do with Luis Arraez again. He's a free agent at the end of the season. The Giants absolutely stink, so they should be looking to move on from him as soon as somebody wants him. Everybody can use better second basemen, especially now that Luis Arraez is playing such elite defense at second base. Something I didn't think was possible considering we've seen him at that position before and he had been absolutely horrible defensively. This year, though, playing great defense there at second base. He's hitting for a high average again, which means he's getting on base a ton, which means that he does have value again. Luis Arraez does have to be a 300 hitter with a 360 on base to be a valuable offensive player. When he's below that, not great. But again, the big thing here is running the bases better, and of course, the defense is phenomenal. Right now, if you put Luis Arraez in a lineup that had a bunch of really good hitters around him, maybe you hit him towards the bottom, play good defense at second base, that's going to be super valuable. And weirdly, the Giants might have backed themselves into a situation where, as crazy as it was signing Luis Arraez for this kind of contract to play second base, and it's completely backfired in terms of team success, not his fault, but just overall, this team's not good. They might have backdoored their way into having a guy who can bring them back some pretty decent prospects in a farm system that is years and years away right now. Their best prospects are very young. I think Buster Posey, again, might have accidentally done something really good here with Luis Arraez. Next, we've got third base. I mentioned him earlier. Paredes of the Houston Astros, $9.35 million this year, a club option for $13.3. That's absolutely free. I know the numbers have not been good so far this year in Houston. 5 home runs, 20 RBIs, an OPS below 700 is a bit concerning at the time of this article being written. But I do think, again, in the right situation, we've seen Paredes go on absolute heaters. And third base is such a weak position where if you can get any sort of offense, being a positive offensive guy there, I think it's worth the discussion. You also still have DH. You have first base. I think Paredes has even played second base in his career. Not that you necessarily want him there, but he's a guy who can move around the field a little bit more. And for the Astros, who again are looking to cash in this one, I think they will get more back than Christian Walker, again, just because that contract's extremely team friendly. A club option next year. If he doesn't play well, you just get rid of him. If he does, you pick it up. This will be someone who the Astros get more for. I am interested to see which one they do end up moving because I don't think they keep both. And in this article, Kerry Miller mentions about if the Astros are throwing in the towel, this will be a clear indicator. That team stinks. I think they have to throw in the towel. Right now, just doesn't really seem like a possibility for them to be a playoff team the way they're currently constructed. All right, who's next? We've got shortstop CJ Abrams. Okay, see, this is the first one where you lose me. I know there have been some CJ Abrams whispers in the offseason about him possibly being on the trade market, but I do think the version of CJ Abrams that we're seeing right now, the Nationals kind of don't have any real incentive to move him. The Nationals are, one, playing good baseball. I don't think it's going to last. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, but offensively, they have been phenomenal. They've gotten so much more out of their players at the plate this year than they did previously. CJ Abrams is a huge reason why. Look at the slash line, 294, 388, 549 slug, 12 homers, 47 RBIs, 8 stolen bases at the time of the article being written. I mean, he's on pace to be like a 30-30 player. That wouldn't shock me at all. He's obviously still a little bit sketchy at the shortstop position, but when he's that good offensively on a team that's so young, and he still is so young, unless you're getting an unbelievable haul you can't say no to, I personally think it would be foolish to trade CJ Abrams. I think the Nationals would be nuts to do so. Him and James Wood are foundational building blocks. After a bit of a weak season last year, CJ Abrams has reconfirmed, I think, to everybody in baseball that he can be a franchise player. And if the Nationals were to trade CJ Abrams, I think almost every single team in baseball will be calling. And I think a sneaky team that would be the most interested in CJ Abrams, don't count out the New York Yankees, especially because while they love George Lombard Jr., Jazz Chisholm plays second base. He's on an expiring contract. You could have CJ Abrams play short this year, move him to second next season when Jazz doesn't re-sign. Feels like a match made in heaven to me, but again, Nationals should not make that trade. So I guess we're just going by positions here, right? So, okay, we're on to the outfield. Outfielder A, Taylor Ward of the Baltimore Orioles. Talk about a trade that has kind of backfired for both teams, not because Taylor Ward isn't playing well. Again, look at the slash line. His on-base percentage is near 400 right now, but more so because Taylor Ward hasn't been able to make the impact in order to make the Orioles better than how they've performed right now. It is not his fault. The Orioles stink for a multitude of reasons. Taylor Ward is not one of them. Power's not there, but we kind of figured for a guy who's a right-handed power hitter from the Angels that going to a field where they moved the left field fences back further than most stadiums was not going to be a great fit. He's decent out there in the outfield. He gets on base a ton. If the Orioles are smart, especially with how many young players that they have in the outfield, they should move on from Taylor Ward. And then from the Angels' perspective of that trade, like, it just sucks. Grayson Rodriguez got hurt. Shocker. Who knows when he'll be back? It's kind of one of those scenarios for me where, like, I'll believe it when I see it. I hope he gets healthy because if they get any sort of innings out of him, they win that trade. But right now, just an absolute nothing burger on both sides. Neither one of them really being the player's fault. A lot of teams will be, should be, are going to be calling about Taylor Ward. Next up, we've got Duran. So Duran's numbers this year have been not good across the board. Like, you see a sub 300 on base percentage. The slug is under 400. He is hitting for more power. He's stealing bases. One thing to note with Duran too, obviously the contract is extremely favorable. $7.7 million this year, arbitration eligible for the next 2 seasons. It's not going to make that much. He had a really bad April. He's gotten better and better and better in his month of May. Has been great. So I do think that Duran might have just had a slow start to the season. I've always liked him as a player. I feel like Boston's kind of pushing him out. And again, Craig Breslow is the most bizarre president of baseball operations ever. I don't know what he's ever going to do in a given moment. He will make some crazy trades. He will make insane trades. He will make stupid trades. I'm yet to really see, like, good one. I mean, Crochet was great. Crochet was a great trade. But for the most part, I mean, the Red Sox are kind of out of it. And if they are, And they've been trying to get rid of Duran for years and years and years. Maybe this is the time they do it. They just probably want him to get a little bit hotter as the season goes on and sell him at a higher point. That being said, also the Roman Anthony injury does kind of set them back a little bit with being able to move on from Duran if they actually want to be like a team that thinks they're competing. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of teams in baseball that could use a player like Jarren Duran. A lot of holes in outfields, and he could definitely fill them. All right, next up, we've got Mike Trout, the Los Angeles Angels. I've done it. You've done it. Every baseball channel in the planet's done it. Every baseball personality's done it. We're waiting for a Mike Trout trade. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Mike Trout's playing great baseball. He's getting on base at an insane rate, a near 400 on base percentage right now. He's hitting home runs. He looks healthy. He looks so good. This is the Mike Trout that we've been waiting to see. There's two big problems with this Mike Trout trade. Well, actually three. One, Artie Moreno. He's always the number one problem. That guy sucks. He's the worst owner in all of baseball, and he probably just won't trade Mike Trout. Two, Mike Trout might not want to be traded from the Angels. He has no trade clause in his contract. He has made it very, very clear he loves playing for the Angels, loves being in Anaheim. He doesn't want to leave. So that's a big problem because it doesn't really matter for Mike Trout. He likes where he is. And then three, his contract is absolutely massive. $37.1 million a year through 2030. It's not that Mike Trout, when healthy, isn't that good of a player. It's that when is Mike Trout healthy? It doesn't happen very often, and as he gets older and older and older, that $37.1 million becomes less and less likely to reach its value. So the Angels would not only have to get Mike Trout to agree to the trade, they'd have to also get Artie Moreno to agree to the trade. And then on top of that, the Angels would probably have to give the team that they're trading Mike Trout to a ton of money to cover his contract. It just doesn't seem actually feasible. I hope one day we do see Mike Trout get traded off the Angels because I don't think we're going to see him ever win there. That organization is an absolute mess, and it's all Artie Moreno's fault. So yeah, Mike Trout's not going anywhere. I wish. What position's going to come next? Are we going pitcher next? We are. Right-handed starting pitcher, Joe Ryan of the Minnesota Twins. To Ryan's credit, he's having a phenomenal year, a sub-1 whip, an ERA below 3, might be at 3 right now. He strikes out a ton of guys. His stuff looks really good. The Twins, again, are not in a position where I think they're going to go on a run. Of course, you could always talk about Sandy, and Randy does mention that Sandy was one of the guys that's been a trade staple right now to talk about. The Marlins feel like they're out of it. They just got swept by the Mets this weekend. That's never a good sign because the Mets stink. And I don't know if the Marlins are going to be even like a fringe playoff team right now, just based on how that team's playing and looking and health-wise. So I do think Sandy's definitely going to get traded. Joe Ryan, I think the Twins should trade. You gotta cash in at some point. Unless you just plan to extend him for a really, really cheap contract. He wants to be in Minnesota for a while, kind of like Byron Buxton. But at this point, I don't know what you're holding on to him for longer and longer and longer. I think his value is going down despite pitching well. You could have got a lot probably last year. Now that he's got less on his contract, less control, teams are going to be less likely to give up these massive, massive prospects. That being said, he is a game changer in a playoff series for a team that could use some starting pitching. I'm assuming the next one's going to be left-handed starting pitcher. Yep. Derek Skubal. This is an interesting conversation. The Tigers stink. Tarik Skubal coming back from a major injury right now. Quicker than we thought. I guess it's not a major injury, but any time that you have a pitcher with an elbow injury, that's scary. But the fact that he could be back pitching in mid to late June, coming off of a loose bodies in the pitching elbow surgery, that's very enticing. And I think the Tigers do have to look in the mirror and ask themselves the question, are we a playoff team? Can we make the playoffs? And the great thing is that they'll have about a month to figure it out. Once they get Skubal back, they'll have about a month to figure out if they are a playoff team or not. But if this Tigers team deems it more likely than not that they miss the playoffs, I do think they seriously have to consider trading Tarik Skubal. I'm sorry, Tigers fans. This is my fault. I picked you guys to win the World Series this year. Absolute kiss of death. It's insane what I do with that power. But I do think right now, like, maybe you bring him back because of the injury stuff. Maybe you can get him on a shorter term deal because teams don't want to give him the massive, massive contract with that injury. I just don't see a world where the Tigers hold on to him unless they get so hot from this moment on that by the time that the end of July comes up and the trade deadline is here, they're in the wild card hunt. I do think the Tigers are still a good team, but man, oh man, they are not playing like it. And they're getting into a dangerous territory where you do have to consider trading Tarik Skubal. That's no fun. Nobody wants to do that. Are we going to do relief pitchers too, or is it just going to be starting pitchers? Yes, relief pitchers. All right. Pete Fairbanks. Oh, 11 of 11. This is the last one. So Pete Fairbanks is a weird one to talk about. I'll tell you what, he's looked horrible this year. Has not looked good. I know the FIP numbers are better than the ERA. I don't love that the fastball velo continues to tick slightly downwards. He's looked bad for sure in Miami, but the K rate is still really high. The fastball velo has gone down, but he's still throwing 97. The slider has been a disgusting pitch, a 53% whiff rate when he's thrown it this year. There's obviously a good pitcher inside Pete Fairbanks. The Marlins, again, are not going to be contenders. I don't think they're going to be a playoff contending team. All their guys who are going to be free agents or even on shorter term contracts and free agents in 2028 possibly, I do think could be on the move. So yeah, Pete Fairbanks is probably on the move. I wonder where he goes. It really will depend on his value, but I think teams are always interested in getting another guy in the bullpen who throws 98 miles an hour, and that's Pete Fairbanks. He also has the playoff experience. He is a good pitcher. He's just pitching like crap right now. 11 players. Again, apologies for more reaction content. I'm sure you guys want to see like better content, truthfully, and that will be coming to you soon. The month of May was absolutely hectic for me. Otherwise, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you're subscribed again. More actual good content coming out, not just reaction slop. You can follow me on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc, links in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.